Welcome to Why Are You Awake? A podcast where we interview people who are night owls, people up late at night. This week, we have comedian Calvin Evans, one of my favorites. You will enjoy it. If you don't know who he is already, go over, subscribe, like everything, follow him on Instagram, everything. Follow me as well. If you're listening to this podcast, go over to the YouTube channel at Paul F. Comedy and subscribe and watch us live as well. Also, don't forget to check out our sponsors. See where my upcoming shows are at paulfcomedy.com. Hey gang, as some of you know, I used to be a practicing lawyer in Chicago. I no longer practice, but from time to time, I need a lawyer. And when I need a lawyer, I call my friend Scott Shapiro. Scott Shapiro has been practicing law for over 25 years in Chicago. He does it all, from workers' compensation to personal injury, employment issues, and even entertainment law and contract needs. If you need a lawyer, call my friend Scott. 312-648-8800. That's 312-648-8800. Or you can email him at scott@scottshapirolegal.com. Tell him I sent you. You're welcome. Welcome to another edition of Why Are You Awake? My name is Paul Farahvar. I'm your host. If you're listening to this podcast, you can also go and watch it on my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/PaulFComedy. Watch it, see how good looking we are, and just do it. You've been listening to podcasts for years. Now the new thing is video, so don't be a fucking dick. Speaking of not being a dick, you like that transition there? We have one of my favorite people, favorite comedians, fellow U of I grad, Calvin Evans.
Hey, man, we just missed each other.
It never gets old, man.
We just missed each other.
Never
at U of I,
gets
man.
old. Yeah, you were just. I graduated just like a couple minutes before you got there.
Yeah, man, like seven minutes. And minutes were years.
Calvin Evans, you are a legend in the Chicagoland area and beyond.
Hold on, let me look at a legend.
A legend.
Allegedly a legend. Am I never saw that. I know that.
I think so. I think you're like one of the most liked comics, most consistent.
Oh, man. I appreciate that.
I remember I did a show with you once, and I had to get to another show, and there was another comedian was like, oh, I don't want. They put the comedian after you, and they go, I don't want to follow Calvin. I'm like, I could follow Calvin. And I went. She goes, I'll follow you. I'm like, motherfucker. And I remember that show. I did all my closers back to back just to be like, you don't fucking ever say that shit to me.
So you
again.
you told like 2 jokes and got out of there.
I just did all the like hits.
Yeah,
you've done that to me before too. I'm like, motherfucker. I think there was a show we did. And then you did like 3 of your closers. I know you say all your shit's closers, but I was like, why are you doing that, man?
Hey, sometimes you just gotta make yourself feel good. Like it's nothing. You know when you killing in the crowd and it's like it's a good audience. You're like, I want to get them a good show. Yeah. And I know that sometimes it's just old jokes. And you're like, man, let me give them some of this old stuff, just so it can.
But you don't need to do that. You have so many. I mean, there's sometimes I've seen you do shows where you're just already murdering, and then you go to like the Ray Charles bit or something. Like, why? You didn't need to do that. There's still 3 of us after you.
I gotta get out of here. I don't know what to leave on, man. Do you remember when I used to do I was like, I don't know. When I walk off, I do the walk off. I was
like that.
It's just like, man, sometimes comics like to leave on a big laugh. That's hard for me to do because all my jokes good.
Yeah.
Decisions. So I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna get out of here, and I just walk off.
Yeah, I like that closer. I think I've seen people try to imitate that concept, but you're the first one that did it.
Oh man, I appreciate it, man.
Bring that back. That's easier to follow. Moving forward.
Just a walk off.
How long you been doing comedy now, Calvin?
13 years in Chicago.
No, fuck that. Yeah, I'm 13 years. You were doing it before I started. Are you starting from the first time you did comedy?
No. First time I did comedy was 2006 in college.
Okay.
So I don't count that time because I didn't know what I was doing. Right. I was just getting on stage talking shit.
Oh, I didn't know we didn't count times when we weren't good. So I've been only doing comedy for 3 years. Is that how it works now, motherfuckers?
No. So I count when I made a conscious effort to be like, I'm going to be a comedian. So 2010 is when I came back to Chicago.
Fair.
Yeah.
And what was you were doing it in college? You were just fucking around at open mics, or what were you doing?
I was hosting shows. So I would host anything like in college. Yeah. So it was like, I knew how, like, I can make people laugh just talking about things that I see and it happen. But I didn't have like, oh, Calvin, like, do 10 minutes. I didn't have 10 minutes of like jokes.
Right.
So it was like, I wouldn't call it comedy.
I was just hosting.
Yeah, I was like hosting.
That's how I started too. But I counted that time. But I guess I'm just going to stop counting that. I've only been doing comedy for 3 years.
All right, good. Yeah, 3 years. That sounds a lot better.
Because you were doing comedy when I started. Well, I started in 2011, and you were already like established.
No.
Yeah, you were already.
Oh, 2011. Okay, so like a year.
So
like
year.
I had been around. Yeah.
You were already. You were a regular at Laugh Factory.
Laugh Factory wasn't around in 2011.
2011.
It was only Zanies and Jokes and Notes. Laugh Factory was like 2012, 2013, somewhere now.
Yeah, maybe 2012.
Maybe like late 2011. But it took me a while to get into Laugh Factory.
Really? Mm-hmm. When'd you get past there? Who was hosting the open mic when you did it? Was it Pat Tomasulo?
No, I don't even remember, because like they only had like it was like 10 comics that they like regularly that they would just rotate.
Right.
And then I did a show up there for my birthday in 2012. That didn't go well. And then I was like, I'm not coming back to this place.
How did it not go well? Tell me why.
It was just like, I think the manager at the time, they was like, you have to sell a certain amount of tickets.
Oh yeah. I remember
and it was
that.
like, you got to be like 70%, full. And I feel like it was like a lot of people came. It was my birthday show, and they just like, I had cake, and it was just like, yeah, they can't eat the cake. I'm like, what are you talking about? These like my friends and family. Like I told them after the show they could come eat cake in the green. They was like, no, we can't, because if they get sick, then it's on us.
What?
And I was just so pissed off. I was like, fuck this place.
Yeah.
And then
but your show your performance went well.
Yeah, the show went good.
But I don't think I've ever seen you not have a good performance.
I just had a bad experience. And then that manager left. And then, after that, they was like, hey man, we gotta get you in here. And then that's when I started working.
So you never did the open mic process?
No.
Because the open mic process used to be, or it's, well, now there's no process, but you'd have to audition for Jamie Masada. And I remember Pat Tomasulo was a host, and then I bombed the first 2 times, and I got better, and then they eventually made me, I had to host the open mic for 2 years because I said I wanted to be a host, and Jamie Masada was like, okay, you're going to host it every Wednesday. And to me, I was like, this is awesome. But after like 2 weeks, I'm like, this is fucking horrible. It's like 20 comics.
Like hosting is cool when it's your show.
Yeah.
And you can front load and back load your like comedy, like you can tell jokes, like I could play around. But just hosting, that's the worst job in the world sometimes.
Well, they let me, the good thing about it was, for me, I didn't have that many jokes, and I would try shit out, like riffing, and a lot of comics weren't good. And I wasn't really mean when they bombed, but I was like kind of mean if they were really bad. I would write, like, I'd have something. So if someone talked about dating, I'm like, oh, I'll do it right here. So it looks like I just came up with it. And then I looked like I was crushing. But yeah, it was a long night, but it was the best experience for me in the end, because I became a good host. That's what I wanted to do when I started comedy.
Yeah.
But then I just remember when I was hosting it, when Jamie Masada would come to town, and the last 5 or 6 comics would have to audition, and they would be so nervous.
So what was the notes he gave you when you?
First time he told me to write, I needed to write better. I needed to be a better writer. Second time he was
so
like,
just
some weird jokes. Shit. He didn't tell me anything weird. Like some people, he says weird shit to. Obviously, the stories of like the people. But yeah, he was just like, he was telling me to lean into certain things. The dating thing, he was the one that started my Singles Only podcast. He was like, this is interesting because you have a different perspective on it than most people. I'm like, not really. He's like, okay, whatever. Yeah. But yeah, he didn't really give me any good advice other than to be more clean.
He didn't give you any good advice.
No, he gave me great advice, but it wasn't anything that was like funny and like that I can use as a joke to be like, yeah, he told me I should wear a leprechaun hat or some shit like that. I got you. It was
sound advice.
It was sound advice for the most part. Yeah, some of the stuff he gave me was really good, and I mean, he helped me a lot. He was a big mentor to me starting out. Cool. But yeah, I was wondering if you, because I don't remember when I was hosting that, you were already a regular. So I think it's 2013.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was good. You didn't have to go through that process. See, you skipped the line.
No, I didn't. I don't think I skipped the line. I think I said fuck the line.
Let me eat my cake.
And I think I got to give him credit, because I think Aaron Foster. I know Aaron Foster. Aaron Foster was like, man, I think it was like an exchange about, y'all don't have nobody in here. Like, y'all don't, like Calvin, and he funny. Y'all should have him in here. And I think he kind of like like put a light like, hey man, Calvin should be here. And they was like, oh yeah, I guess you're right.
Oh wow, that's good.
So Aaron Foster just looked out.
Were you doing other shows at that time too when you started? When you started by your terms, your date 2010.
2010.
Jokes and Notes and Zanies.
Yeah. So I was like, so I came back to Chicago.
Came back from where?
I was living in Champaign
okay.
after college, graduated, worked a little bit, and then I came back to Chicago for stand-up. And that November, I entered the contest, Chicago's Next Big Comic on WGN. I win the contest. The winner got a feature spot at Zanies. So I got a feature spot that February.
For a weekend or just one show?
I think it was a weekend. Okay. I think it was like a Friday, Saturday show.
Who'd you work with?
Like
Do you remember?
I want to say Rich Scheidner.
Oh yeah, okay.
It's Rich Scheidner, and it's funny because I won, but another contestant, we co-featured that weekend. And I was like, this supposed to be, I was so pissed off. I was like, because we both got to do 12 minutes, which probably was for the best because I didn't have
25 minutes.
Like a solid 25 minutes. So like, just like good, clean material. So it worked out. And then shortly thereafter, Bert would just like hit me up like, hey, can you host? Can you feature? And then by like 2014, 15, I was like house MC.
Oh, you get the month, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that right there made me a better host because
but it makes you a better comic.
Yeah, because you get to go. I was making probably like $600 a week just being a house
every
MC.
show. Yeah,
it was like 11 shows a week. We was off Monday.
Right.
And then the show like 6 shows on the weekend or something like that. So it was like $600 a week. So it was like the most money I was making in comedy. It was consistent. And I was meeting all these different headliners. So I like met Tiffany Haddish, Rich Scheidner, Chris DiStefano. So it was like all these people that was coming through and I get to like watch. And I just appreciated Bert always being like, this is how you host the show. He like make sure you interact with the crowd, make sure the birthday, make sure that's when it was like you have to do the announcements. This week we got coming. So it was like real like uniform, and you just kind of learn to appreciate the position that you had as the host.
Right.
Whereas like now people just like, oh, I hate hosting. They get on stage and they go straight into material. But no, when you get on stage and you the host, it's just like, hey, all these people came to a show. Sometimes it's their first show. Sometimes they want to yell stuff out. Hey, it's my birthday. Hey, let me acknowledge y'all. Everybody chill out.
Then we'll go, right.
And then we'll get into, okay, where you from? We got everybody know everybody. We cool, we can relax. And then I get to be funny for, a few minutes and then get the show rolling. So you just kind of facilitating the show. And I think a lot, that's like just a lost art form.
I agree with you 100%. And the reason why I wanted to be a host was I went and auditioned at Zanies for Bert. That was back in the day where you had to audition for him. Well, you bypass all the...
I did Rising Star.
Okay. Yeah, Rising Stars on Monday. You do that. Mm-hmm. Pat McGann was a host, and he was just fucking murdering.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, that's what I want to do. That's all I want to do. Because I didn't want to write material. I wanted to just riff and off the crowd and just do crowd work and then maybe do a couple jokes. That's what I wanted to do. And that's what I said to Jamie when he asked me, what do you want to do? I'm like, I want to be a host. Mm. And then, and then I eventually, I got passed at Zanies, and they did the month of hosting was the best thing that they ever did. Mm. When you do that house MC for a month, what they would do is you host the whole thing for a month at Zanies in Rosemont, Zanies in Old Town, or Zanies in St. Charles. You were on every show except Monday. Mm-hmm. And after that month, you were so solid as a comedian. I just remember, and I wish they brought it back. We were just talking about that. Me and another comedian was like, that was the way they trained you. And those skills came back in handy when you become a headliner, right?
I remember one night it was a headliner, and between shows, like it was like he had like that's when they used to do the 11 o'clock Saturday show. It was like a late show.
The third show.
And it was like 15 people showed up. Sometimes they was drunk, sometimes they was sleepy, but it was like we doing the third show. If as long as it's like 10 or 15 people that we doing the show. And it was always like you having a great week. That last show on Saturday was like, what the I suck, you know. And the headliner between the 9:30 and 11:15 show got drunk. And I'm talking about the feature went up, bomb, headliner get up there, I'm host, and he just fucking tears into the crowd. He melts down. He has a meltdown on the stage. Wow. And he's like, yo, I'm never gonna work this club again. Fuck. And he was like, he kind of said like some questionable shit to some audience member, and it was like, yo. And then I remember Bert just being like that, just go up there and close the show out. Now the show had only been going maybe for like 45 minutes. So I had hosted the show. I had a pretty good host set. The people were cool. And then I went back on stage and did like another 15 minutes. And it was like I got the crowd back, and then at the end of the show, I was like, "Man, thank y'all for coming out, man. Give it up for Calvin Evans, and Calvin Evans." and like the crowd, like, and I remember after that day, I went to Bert, and I was like, "Man, like I want a headline," and he kind of like laughed, like, "Huh," and I was like, "No, I'm serious.
Right.
Like you just saw me do 30 minutes of like material, like I got
you weren't even ready to do it, yeah,
right." But I think at that point it was just like I had, I was fine with like paying dues as a host,
sure.
And when the opportunity came. And then he was like, all right, I'll let you know. And then like that was like toward the end of the year. Then the next year he gave me like my first like one-nighter. And then before I moved to LA, he gave me like seven show nights in a row. Good. So it was like crazy. But again, I mean, I can't thank Bert Haas enough, man. And I think he probably
he did so much.
One of the most underrated comedy club managers, because nowadays you don't know. You just go into the comedy club and you're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to be like, what do I do as a comedian? And Bert was one of those people who's like, hey, this is what you show up early.
The system worked, yeah.
Show up early, come prepared, have a clean 5-minute set, have a business card, have an electronic press kit, like just all this stuff.
He taught it, yeah. For Rising Stars, when you'd audition, you had to be there. If the show is at 8, you were there at 7:30. I remember someone showed up at 7:32. He's like, you're not going up, and it was a huge scene. Like he's like, and then the guy was yelling, fuck you," to Bert. And that's like, sorry.
And that's crazy, because when you talk about,
at the time it was like,
no, but because as comedians, nobody says to you like, oh, you have to be professional, you have to be on time, you have to respond to emails, you have to show up and be like not be inebriated.
Right.
So for somebody to say this is the business of stand up, show up on time, do what you're like, you ever do a show on somebody like, oh, they want me to be clean. I don't know if I could be clean. And then they get on stage like, they said I got to be clean. Y'all want me to be clean? It's like, no, they're not paying. Paying you to do a clean.
Do what you said. Yeah.
25
minutes.
But
they wanted it to be clean. I asked the crowd. It's like, that's not how it works. Right. Yeah. I've had that a lot. And that's the thing. I came from a business background as being a lawyer, as you can see back here.
Yeah.
But so I had the skill sets, and I managed bands, so I understood the business sets. But it was cool to hear him say that to people. And I remember he said, "You want to work here? Send me an email, 3 lines. Hi, I performed there on this date. I'd like to come back. Here's my clip," or whatever. And that's it. It was like 3 lines he taught you. And I remember, I have my notes from the first time I did Rising Stars at Zanies, and Bert was like, he gave me notes after I did it the first time. I remember everything he said. I was like, this is awesome. And I have that sheet. And then like 2 years later, I had a feature weekend with Pat McGann of all, like, it was like full circle. I got to go back.
Pat McGann is one of those guys that I watched also, and I was like, this motherfucker is amazing.
So amazing.
And sometimes like after the show, I'll be like, did you just come up with that on the spot? Like, cause the way he hosts is like, it's sarcasm, it's funny, and it's like, it's just quick. Yeah. Whereas like, if anybody in the crowd even thought like, I'm about to get him, it's just like, oh shit.
No way in hell.
You just can't get the best of him. He always like steps ahead.
Yeah, no, I think that, and that's the thing. I remember my first time hosting at Zanies, he told me what to do. Like you said, he's like, weave in and out. I'm like, should I do? I didn't know what you're supposed to do, crowd work up top and don't end on crowd work. Like he said, weave in, you could do that. And Cindy told me that too. I became such a good host. But then when you're a good host, it's almost a crutch too, right? Because people always ask, well, maybe you not so much because now you're a big time headliner and shit. But like, I remember Curtis at Laugh Factory would call me anytime I saw the call, like right before a show, he's going to ask me, can you host instead?
Yeah.
That's the only downside. When you're a good host, they always ask you to host when there was an option. Did that happen a lot to you too?
At the Improv.
Oh yeah.
Because the Improv, they get like national touring acts all the time, like big names.
Bring it in their feature.
And they bring in the feature, and they asked me like, and at first it was like, I just want to work the Improv, and I did it probably for like 5 shows. Like 5 like host weekends, and then after a while, at that point, I started featuring. I was like, I want to feature, and it took so long that, and it got to a point where like headliners would be like, hey, this dude is funny, you need to make him a feature.
Yeah,
you need to. I remember the manager asking me, this is the craziest shit in the world. It's like 2016. He like, hey, yeah, man. He's like, do you feature anywhere? And I was like, I feature everywhere in Chicago
except here, yeah.
And he was like, yeah, but have you featured for like 600 people? I'm like, do you think my jokes stopped being funny
at 200?
Right, like, because most clubs like 250, 150. Right, like, do you think at like the back of the room, just like, I don't get this guy ain't.
No, it doesn't work for me. Yeah.
So I think, so when they asked me to host, I would turn it down. Because it's not. I mean, because if you think about like driving to Schaumburg for $50,
Schaumburg, Illinois is far, yeah.
And you hitting the toll road with gas. I'm like, I'm leaving this week. I'm gonna make $250, and let's say 100 of it is gonna be gas in tolls.
Well, not just that, you're not doing a lot of time either, and you're doing announcements and hosting there is tough because they're still seating people sometimes and shit. I hate that shit. But
I've had some really good host sets at the Improv.
Yeah,
but it's also like I hate the. Hey, when you gonna do like comedy? When you gonna
you're
funny? When you gonna
when are you gonna do?
When you gonna be a comedian?
Yeah.
Like comedian? What do you think I was doing up there?
Yeah, I hate that shit too. But I think that I agree with you 100% that the zany system works, and there was a craziness to it. And I read that new book now that they wrote about the crazy time in Chicago before our time with Mike Bridenstine, and how this whole Lincoln Lodge movement, the alt comedy scene started because Bert was so strict about all those comedians.
So you said Bert Hart he started a whole genre of comedy?
A whole genre, and they kind of they were all shitting on zanies because they wouldn't book him. But in the end, the guy who wrote the book, Mike, was like, it helped us because it made us better comics because he wasn't booking a lot of those guys. But there's a fucking rhyme to that reason. Like it all made sense because you hosted for the month, then you featured. By the time you were a headliner, you were crushing as a headliner. Yeah. Especially when you go back to headline at those clubs at Zany's and Rosemont, like those rooms so well. You've done them at least a billion times. So
that's crazy. But also from I remember my first Rising Star. No, I did. It was a Rooftop Comedy did a comedy competition. And
that's before my time.
They went around the comedy. It's 2008. They went around the country. And
2008, you weren't a comedian yet. Just so by your record,
I was in college.
I know, but I was by your standards. You didn't start comedy, but somehow this Rooftop place found. Go ahead.
They didn't find me, so they went around the colleges and they did like a open call, like go on stage and like tell a joke.
Yeah,
right. Tell a joke, and then from that cattle call, they took 10 comedians from the University of Illinois, or 10 aspiring comedians, and they went to I-State, did the same thing. And then they put us on a bus and we met in Chicago. We performed at Zany's, and then like the top 2 comics got voted on to go to like Aspen to the Rooftop Comedy finals or whatever. And I remember seeing Dobie Maxwell was the host and Hannibal he closed out the show. This 2008. I'd never heard of Hannibal Buress in my life. And I remember watching him and I'm just like, oh, this guy kind of funny. Maybe a year later, I look him up. Tonight Show, 30 Rock, like I'm talking about this guy. He took off, and then you see people like Michael Palasek. It's so many people that you look and you like, oh, they got late night sets, and I'm like, that was cultivated at Zany's because you were told like, oh, this is how. Because when you do late night, you have to do a clean set. And these, the time and all this stuff got to be down.
Well, that's how all the clubs used to be. And when you would do Laugh Factory, when I was hosting it, the open mic, you had to be clean. And if you swore, they would play you off.
Wow,
that's how it worked. But now there's no rhyme or reason to it, and so and I book some shows. Sometimes people hit me up, and I'm like, I gotta forget. I forgot sometimes. I'm like, wait, can you work clean? And some people, they're like, you don't know if they can. But we had to be clean at Zany's. I just remember that there were certain times you had to be squeaky clean. Like, hey, can you do 20 clean? You're like, yeah, I got 20 clean.
And I feel like that outside of content, I feel like being clean is just a matter of what I feel like saying right now.
Yeah.
Do I want to say shit, fuck, damn, whatever? But this joke at the foundation of it is it's still a funny joke regardless.
That's the thing, and that's the thing that Cindy actually taught me. She's like, Cindy, who now books at Brad Garrett's at MGM. It's like the advice she gave me is like, Paul, you're likable. This is when I got past the thing she said. It's like, you're so likable on stage, and but you gotta be a better writer. I'm like, you're still passing me? Like, yeah, just write better jokes. I'm like, okay, cool. And then she said, be cleaner. You're gonna get a lot more work. And sure as shit, the next year, I was like, I stopped writing jokes that were like dirty, and I got way more work. And then people are like, how'd you get that show? And I'm like, I've seen your set. It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work in Naples. Like they'll be like, how'd you get Off the Hook Comedy Club? It's a club in Naples. I'm like, you don't want to work there. And they're like, I'm like, here's the contact. That's it. Don't say my name. Like, because I'm like, I know it's not gonna work in that room. There's certain things that your jokes aren't gonna work in Florida, but like you'll work everywhere because you're universally likable. And you only started comedy in 2010, so it's amazing.
And also, I mean, I think the beauty in like Chicago comedy at that time when I first came back was that Zany's was like, it was like TV comedy,
right?
And then Jokes and Notes was cable comedy.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like prime time versus like late night comedy, and being able to be in those two worlds, I kind of got to a place where I was like, I'm tired of telling one set of jokes over here, then another set of jokes over here. So let me be able to merge these two worlds. Right. And that like Jokes and Notes taught me when I go on stage, like how to be funny right away. As soon as I walk on stage, the first thing it's like they laughing already.
Yeah.
It's not like no slow build. You learn how to be funny fast, and then, being at Zany's is like, oh, I got to write like good jokes, because at Zany's I realized like, oh, they'll listen to me. They'll go on the ride with me.
Right.
So, but if in order for me to make this joke work at Jokes and Notes, it just got to be funnier along the way.
Quicker.
Yeah. Not quicker, just funny along the way. Just give me some funny beats to keep me engaged.
Every 20, 30 seconds. Yeah, right. I got you.
Versus me just like, just wait till we get to the end. It's going to be amazing. It's like, no, it's going to be a funny
I was so scared to do Jokes and Notes. I remember there was one night we were all Laugh Factory, and they're like, we're going over Jokes. I think you were there. Mm-hmm. I was like, I'll go. And then I was like, I don't know, I'm not ready. I was so intimidated by it. And Mary Ellen was like, just come by whenever you want. I'm like, I don't think so. Yeah, I just couldn't handle it. I was so scared.
It's just comedy. It's just
I know, but now I don't give a fuck.
You died. You're not gonna die.
That was 10 years ago, buddy. I'm not afraid of anything. No.
You 3 years ago you started.
3 years ago, just before I started comedy.
Right, you was just doing research at that point.
I wasn't serious because I hadn't made the decision. What'd you say? It was when you decide to be a comedian is when it counts. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So I was a lawyer till 2016.
Basically.
Yeah. So I'm 5 years in. It's crazy.
That's bad math, because that's 7 years. That's definitely 16.
Listen, you've been a comedian before you did comedy. When you were in Champaign, mm-hmm. What were you doing? Like, were you a night owl? Were you stayed up late? Because you didn't drink in college or high school, right?
No. I just
You just stay up.
I since I was a kid, like I remember the first time I saw like 2 o'clock in the morning, like everybody was asleep, and I was just up watching TV, and I remember looking at the clock like this. Two, like this don't even feel right. Like it don't feel right seeing 2 o'clock in the morning, but I just always like stayed up late.
Was it when you were like, my parents let me stay up late to watch, like I just watched the monologue on the Tonight Show and stuff, because I was like, this is when I was in 8th grade. Mm-hmm. I remember going to bed at like 10:45, which was late back then. But then when I got to college, I wouldn't take classes unless they were like after 11. Were you that bad? Because I knew I wouldn't wake up.
I think one thing about me is like, if I got to get up, I'll get up. Like
even
no matter what time I go to sleep.
You don't need sleep?
I need it, but I'll find it somewhere in the middle of the day. But if I go to sleep late, I got to get up.
So when you said you saw 2 in the morning, is that something that you started noticing more and more, where you're up later when you were in college, or what happened?
No, in college I would play basketball.
Late at night?
9 o'clock.
And Wimpy or Impy?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Mostly Impy the first couple of years, and they closed Impy and started doing construction.
That's the University of Illinois stuff. I might have seen you there sometime. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was playing late night basketball back then.
Yeah, but no, I spent most of my time like in the gym.
Just staying up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's healthy. But when you were in college, were you waking up early then for class, or was there a reason?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I would like I said, I would get up, like when my alarm go off, it's get up and go do it. But sometimes I remember the game God of War came out on PlayStation. Yeah. And I would be up. I remember one time I saw the sun coming up. Like the sun was like creeping up. I was like, oh shit. Like it's 6 o'clock in the morning. I've been playing this shit all night.
That shit. I was the same way with Madden with me. I remember being in law school. I was like, fuck, it's light out. I've been playing Madden all night. And it's such a time suck. But what about, were you doing anything productive during that time?
Absolutely not. No. No. In college.
When did that change? When were you productive at night?
Productive? Honestly, I don't think I'm productive at night. I'm productive in the daytime.
Okay.
Only time I'm productive at night is if I'm working on something
Like editing clips or something like that?
Okay. Then like my brain won't let me sleep. So I don't know if you remember 2016 I did Sunny with a Chance of Funny. It was like an online, it was like, this shit was like so ahead of its time, but I was doing current event video clips.
Okay.
And I was doing them every single day. And that was an 8-hour process. So I would go home, you know, after doing comedy. So let's say I get home at 10, then I find a story that I had looked at earlier that day to see if it was any more news. And then I would go down and record, and I write down like topics, and then I got to talk it out on camera. Fuck up, talk it out. Fuck up, keep talking.
Yeah.
I do that shit for about 2 hours. And then I do like a little sketch element where it's like a cutaway to like something that I said. And then after that, now I got to sit down and I got to edit it for however long it take to edit it and insert finding clips and stuff. And that was like an 8-hour process overnight. So sometimes I'll go to sleep at 4, then I wake up and post it at 8 o'clock every morning, like 5 days a week.
Wow. Where were you posting it, on Facebook and stuff?
So it was Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Instagram was only doing 30-second clips.
Oh yeah.
So I would post like a preview to get people to try to go to YouTube. When I say like right now, that shit would be killing if I was doing it right now. So that was the inspiration for the Woman in Podcast.
Right.
It was like a stripped down version of that where it's like I can get in and out.
After shows, you're not tired, right? You're still amped after shows usually, or what? How?
Well, most times I go home.
So what do you do?
Watch TV.
Just
watch TV or play NBA 2K with T Murph.
Or what about now? You're playing music. When did that also? When does that play? When do you get a chance to do that shit?
During the daytime, I typically don't play at night unless it's like something I just really want to like learn.
Work on.
But during the daytime, throughout the day, I'm like sitting at the piano, just going through songs and seeing, you know, if it's something I heard, like, oh, let me see if I can play that.
Have you noticed anything about the fact that you are a night person, like staying up late? Are there things that you feel like you miss out on because you're not a morning person?
Oh no, that's the thing. I'm not a morning person.
You still wake up?
Yeah, I still wake up. Like
what time do you wake up normally every day?
My alarm goes off at 6:50. Up until
that's
last week.
That's fucking crazy, dude.
Yeah, my alarm goes off at 6:50. I used to last month I would wake up and I would work out in the house. And now my alarm's going off at 5:30 and I'm going to the gym to work out because I can't do cardio in the house like that.
Even if you go to bed at 1 in the morning?
I gotta get up.
That's insane, dude. That's not good for your body.
It's not good. But if I come home from the gym,
nap?
Yeah, I'll take a sleep. I go to sleep if I come home from the gym from like, let's say like 10 to 12, and then I'll be up.
Okay.
So it's like a lightning charger. Like as long as if I can fall asleep for 2 hours, that can give me like 6 hours.
But when you're working out, obviously, I guess you don't really need to use your brain or anything. But like you're just on autopilot. You're just getting the workout in.
I feel like most people, like at least me. Once I'm up, I'm up. Once I decide that I'm gonna be up, I'm up until I.
You don't drink coffee or anything like that. That's fucking insane, dude.
No,
I don't get it.
There's nothing to get.
What do you take? B12 pills?
No B12.
Nothing.
No, I take like a gummy multivitamin. That's about it.
That's fine. So, if you're not being productive late at night, when let's say you go work out and then 10 to 12 you take a nap, is that when you're writing when you come back? You're like your brain's back. You can write from 12 to 5. What do you do?
Write what?
Like write jokes, whatever.
I don't write jokes. Write joke. I'm not even being funny. I don't write jokes.
Well, how do you work out your shit?
I experience something and I think about it intensely until I can say it on stage.
And you don't write it out anywhere?
No.
Not even a text to yourself?
No. The only thing I write down is like a topic, just to be like, if I need to go back and ever like, oh, I need a joke. I need to remember all my jokes. I have like a list of, it'll be like gas station. It'll be like cars. It'd just be like the hit.
Cue you to know what you're going to talk about.
Right. But I feel like, I can't, not that I can't write jokes, but I think it's better. It's easier for me to remember things that I truly feel.
Right.
So if I'm talking about like, I got squirrels in my roof recently, like that's something I experienced. And like right now I'm formulating in my mind, like how can I tell this account of squirrels being on my roof and trying to get rid of them in a way that's funny.
And not like your ants joke.
My ants.
We're killing all the ants.
Oh yeah. Ronald Reagan. Yeah. The crack epidemic. Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. Like that right there, like that's not something that I sat and wrote down. That's like, okay, I'm thinking about it. Like,
so when you did it, you work it out on stage, right? Mm-hmm. Do you record and listen to it and then you just remember what parts clicked and what parts didn't?
I just got to keep saying it over and over.
But what if it doesn't work?
Well, it has to work.
What do you mean it has to work? You've definitely had concepts that you think are funny, and the crowd just didn't go on board with you.
But I think that it's not funny. I didn't deliver it properly, or there's an element that's missing. But
so how do you find out that element that's missing if you don't listen to it or remember how you say it?
Do you understand what I'm saying? I'm never not thinking about it. That's what I'm saying. So I'm constantly in my head going through it. And if I laugh at it, then it's like, okay, well, other people can laugh at it. But then sometimes it's like, no, that's not funny. And sometimes I get on stage and I say, this is not a joke. This is just something that happened to me. And then
they forgive you.
And then I gauge it. But that's what I'm saying. I gauge the audience. I'm still going to deliver it as if it's a joke. I'm giving you this preface so you know, like, hey, this may not be finished or it's not a full thought.
Right.
And then once I say it and people like, if I can get a laugh out of it, it's like, all right, well.
It's got legs.
Mm-hmm.
But those things that you dismiss, that you're like, that's not funny, you probably are missing a lot of content that is probably funny to other people.
Paul, I have a very good memory.
No, I'm saying the stuff that you don't say on stage.
And that's what I'm saying. You saying what I don't say. So you saying the things that I don't say. At some point, and I've had this happen so many times where I get a new joke and I'll be like, oh shit, I can just connect this to the back end or plug this in and it all makes sense.
That's fucked up.
What's fucked up?
That you don't write any of this shit down or listen to your sets to see like how to improve. And I do feel like there's a level like I'm not saying it's not working for you. It clearly is. I just think look, I'm not a traditional writer of jokes. Mm-hmm. I'll write out an outline. My process is I'll write out an outline. I'll go try it out at an open mic or now a weekday show workout room. Mm-hmm. I'll listen to it. And it's usually the stuff that I didn't think was funny gets a pop. And I'm like, oh, okay, so that should be the ending. And then I'll work around it or whatever. Mm-hmm. But without listening to it, I don't know. I can't. I have a great fucking memory too. Look, I went to law school, dude. I'm fucking smart as shit.
That's the second reference.
I'll get 5 in this one.
All those, whatever those, they look printed out. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's the framing makes it look official, but all that shit look printed out on regular paper. That one at the top, that shit look. That does
look fake, but that's real. That's from ASCAP. That's from. I won some award about. It was in law school about saying that the internet won't change music. I had to argue that the internet music or what do you call it? Streaming's not gonna change. People are gonna keep buying CDs.
You fucking lied.
I won an award.
And that's why that shit looked fake, but that you were so wrong. I
was wrong, but they rewarded bad behavior. Oh, I was like, we're gonna adapt. I mean, at the end I said, worst case scenario, they'll go to streaming too. The music industry will, and they'll charge, which is what they did. Yeah. I mean, I was wrong about the rest of the stuff, but I won the fucking contest.
What was the last CD you bought?
I haven't bought a CD in.
Well, what did you think of the last CD you bought?
I don't remember.
2007.
Oh, earlier than that. I went to iTunes pretty quickly.
Okay.
2000. Yeah, maybe like 2004. Do you remember the last CD you bought?
Shit. I remember like 2008. I went to Circuit City. It was closing. And
Circuit City is closed too.
I bought all the Music Soul Child CDs. You don't know who Music Soul Child is.
I don't.
And that's fine. But
we've addressed this, that you and I were trying to do a music, what do you call it?
A jam.
Jam at the end of the Zanies, your show, After Hours, which is an awesome show every Saturday at Zanies in Old Town. and I went to play guitar and you were playing keys. And you play these songs that are hits, and I was like, I know a lot about music. Mm-hmm. I'm a musician. I manage bands, but I didn't know any of your shit. And then you didn't know what I thought everybody knew. It was such a fucking mind blow. And then after the first time we met, I don't know if you remember, but you kept sending me stuff, and there was someone that did a sketch about it. I guess so you're like, you have a good memory. You probably remember it. Mm-hmm. And there was someone that was talking about a song that everyone in the black community knows and no white people knew.
And it's fun. And it's funny because you like the same. You like, how do you not know that? I'm like, well, how do you not know this?
I know, but it was crazy to me because it's such a divide. Like it was. I just didn't think that there was something else. What was the song? It was More Than Words by Extreme. I'm like, how do you not know this song?
What radio station did you listen to in Chicago?
WXRT 93.1. I still listen to it.
Never in my life would I ever think that my station would go to 93.1. If you don't have a one on anything, I'm not listening to it. Outside of maybe like B96, yes. But
B96, I hated growing up. It was so
Eddie and
bubblegum.
Jobo on B96.
Yeah, I hated. What are you, WGCI?
That's all WGCI Power 92.
What is it? What's WGCI?
107.5.
It wasn't even in my top 6.
You see what I'm saying? So it's just,
I know, it's just funny. That's all.
We meet in the middle, like just pop culture.
But it works. I mean, the show we did, we found stuff that people knew, and yeah, it's a mind. But what was it? What was the name of the CD you bought at Circuit City?
Music Soul Child is the name of the artist.
Do you know that one, Justin? No. Justin grew up in Kansas. They didn't even have. They didn't even allow that music there.
He said that they ain't even ship. They ain't ship those type of CDs. You're not in Kansas anymore, kid.
They didn't allow it. They're like, wait, we don't want that's gonna scare our kids.
It's R&B.
I know what R&B is.
No, that's what I'm saying. The artist, the Music Soul Child is an R&B. Neo
what was
Soul,
the biggest hit?
He had a song, Best Friends, Love, Don't Change. You've heard one of these songs.
Well, you told me I heard the one that you wanted us to do, and I was like, I never heard that song. And I know I can name a song if it's before 2000, not rap. I think I can name a song in like three or four.
Okay.
Beats, but not that song.
Okay.
That's it.
Hey man. Hey,
so back to your writing process, man. So like what I'm saying is, while you're on stage, you're in the moment, right? You're obviously really good at that. What if something pops and you're like, you didn't expect that? Don't you like when you're trying, like you said, at Jokes and Notes, you need to come up with something at 20 seconds, 30 seconds in to keep them interested. Mm-hmm. I feel like when you're not getting a laugh, at least for me, when I'm not getting a laugh, I'll make a way to get a laugh. Even if it's like a cheat spot, I'm like, all right, this is going to be a placeholder. I know it's going to get a laugh. But like, if I didn't record that set, I wouldn't remember it. You just remember it.
I gotta, and it, like, so like if I'm riffing, like if I'm riffing on After Hours, some stuff is just like, this is funny right now. I'm not gonna say this again. But the night that I did the, I think it was at Rosemont for Robbie's birthday.
Oh yeah,
that was my first time telling that ant joke.
Oh really?
I think I had Leah. That was my first time, telling that ant joke in that way, and I think it got like an applause break.
That joke is, I've seen you do that joke a few times. I think it's so funny because people don't expect. I mean, the misdirect is so great at the end, and it's funny because it makes them uncomfortable, but it's also fucking funny. But did you write that out? You knew that coming in?
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like and that's because it's a real experience. Like I can't, like if I got a job to like write jokes, I can sit down and be like, and I can set up punchline jokes. But for me, in order for me to remember it, because with a contrived joke, you have to remember exactly how that joke went in order for it to work. Yeah. But if I'm telling you something that really happened to me, that's my opinion, that I experienced, that I feel, that I think is funny, then it's just like, oh, I'm gonna remember that every single time. Yeah.
What about when you were sketching stuff out? I see you do sketches every once in a while. Did you write out scripts on that shit?
No. Like, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I see it in my head. Like even like with the piano, like you saw my book that I write stuff in. Yeah. But 80% of those songs, I just remember. I remember how to play those songs. Right. So I sit down and I practice the song, and then.
Well, that's different. I'm the same way with music. If I hear it once or like play it again, I'll remember the because you start learning the patterns of music. It's all.
But I'm saying I don't know. You saw the way I write music down, where you just like, this is wrong. I'm just like, that's not a flat. That's a, I'm like, well, that's how I write it down.
I know,
you know what I'm
it's
saying?
Funny.
So it's like I have my understanding of it. So
it's your own language,
right? So the way I write it down. But if you told me to play C major 7, I'd be like, I don't know what that is. And then you did it, and I was like, oh yeah, I do know that. That's this. Your hand go like. Right. So it's like. I just rely on my ability to remember things and commit it to my memory.
What about when you're headlining a show? Let's say you got to do an hour. You do a lot of those shows. You just put a set list in your brain, like you write it out. So because I have photographic memory for some extent. So like I'll write out a set, like just words like you said, and I'll just look at it. And sometimes I'll bring it on stage, but what do you do? Do you even do that, or you just kind of go with the flow?
I usually front load my set with new material.
Up top?
Yeah. So everything that I'm excited about, and then once I get through all like everything new, then I'll just go back into like the regular stuff.
Do you have certain jokes that you have to do before other jokes? I mean, obviously the callback shit, but like I can't do lawyer stuff up top because if I start saying I'm a lawyer, they've already checked out. Mm-hmm. Do you have stuff like that too, or you want them to like you up top?
I used to be like I used to always start my set off with like it was like the raggedy car bit.
Yeah,
because I felt like it was something that everybody can relate to. Like, anybody got a fucked up car? Oh right. Yeah, and then I go into riding a bus and all that stuff because it's just relatable. Everybody has
relatable
a car.
Stuff. Yeah.
But now I just really don't care. Like I'll start anywhere. But yeah, like you said. So when I do cruises here and there, I do have like set lists that I gotta because I do 3 different half-hour sets. 4 different half-hour sets. So I'll go through to make sure, like, oh man, don't do that joke here
because you're gonna do it tomorrow, or
right?
Whatever, yeah.
I'm going to put that joke in this set. So that's the only time I'll go through my sets to make sure that I got like 30.
When you do those shows on the cruises, then, or if you're on the road, what are you doing after your shows when you're not home? On a cruise or even on the road.
Usually on a cruise, I go to the club and just look at people. I just people watch because now when I get on stage tomorrow, I could talk about everybody
what I saw. And you don't even write down what's happening to remind yourself. Oh, that girl did that thing. No.
I saw it. This is there. I know,
but it's God. And then, I feel like stuff is gonna fall through the cracks as soon as you get a little older too. You're not gonna have that kind of memory. I know you're taking your multivitamins.
I'm taking my gummies, my multivitamin gummies, and I'm working out.
You gotta start writing shit down in your phone or something, man.
Well, we'll see. I think I don't
want to jinx you, but I just feel like you're missing out on like anything. Sometimes happens to me. Like I'll write in my notes in my phone, and then like 3 days later, sometimes I'll remember what I was talking about, or I'll wake up in the middle of the night. I'll write something down. Do you ever do that? Where you're like.
I ain't gonna say I despise. The only thing I write down is music notes.
Okay. What about after shows where you're on the road? What do you do?
I go back to the hotel.
And what do? You just watch TV?
Just watch TV.
Do you bring your Switch with you or whatever to play?
Actually, I don't have a Switch, but they got this new PS5 Portal that I want to get. And you're
gonna take that on the road with you?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
God damn it. You're just wasting time. That's what you could be writing.
What am I writing, Paul?
I don't know, man.
What am I writing?
I don't know. I don't know your process.
You have to write it down.
Not even write it down. It's just, I mean, I guess I don't like to write right after shows. I'm not that guy either, but I get a lot of shit done late at night. But I'm very productive. I feel like I could stay up late or I could sleep in and sleep till 11 because I'll set up emails late at night to, on Gmail, you can set it up so they get sent at like 10 in the morning. I kind of want to send like my avails at 2 in the morning when I'm in fucking Plano, Texas. I'll just do that. Or I'll go work out too. Those are productive things, but I don't play video games anymore, man.
It's a good time, man. You're missing out. You don't play video games. I'm gonna tell you, like you say to me, you gotta write. I'm like, you gotta play video games, Paul.
I mean, I got that Pac-Man game. I bought that, and it's got Galaga. It's got like all these old school '80s arcade games. Mm-hmm. But I know that if I was so addicted to Madden in law school, it affected my grades so bad that I was like, fuck this. I'm never gonna get a Sega or whatever.
Listen, you graduated and you're not using
barely.
You're not all this shit on your wall.
Not using any of it.
Fuck it. Get you a guy. Buy your PS5.
No, man. I'm so productive. I get so much shit done. I can't do what you do where I just bypass the rules and the passing systems and change the times where I started comedy and just shave off years. I don't have that luxury.
It only counts when you mean it. That's what you ever been dating a girl and she was like, we've been together for like 5 months. You like,
no, I thought it started 2
weeks ago. Remember when I gave you a key and I was like, if I ever get locked out, you bring this key to me. That's when this shit got serious.
Good. I'm going to start changing the times when people ask me how long I've been doing comedy. I like that. The Calvin Evans method.
Hey man, it sound better when you good faster, right?
Yeah, that's what they say. Mm-hmm. That's what they say.
You only been doing it 3 years? Yeah, it's 3 years. I'm still figuring it out. Just trying to find my voice.
Calvin, where can people find out more about you? Thank you for doing the podcast. I really
thanks
appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. This has been fun, man.
Yeah, we could have keep going. Sorry, I already took you longer than normal.
Oh man, what time?
I got to pay extra hours to now with our producer Justin.
Shit. All right,
it's too late
pay the
for
man.
You got to get home. You got to get home and play your video games.
I got to play my games. You can find me. Everything is Calvin Evans Comedy. I'm mostly on Instagram, Calvin Evans Comedy. Yeah, everything's Calvin Evans Comedy. Check out the 1 Minute Podcast on my Instagram page.
And you got a new podcast coming out too, right?
Yeah, yeah, we're working on it. It's on the wraps right now. We still working on it.
Fair.
It's gonna be the biggest thing since the Joe Rogan Experience.
Since the Why Are You Awake podcast. What do you have a sign above yours too? You guys got a sign. You gotta get one of those.
Oh shit!
You didn't even see that.
That's been at this whole goddamn time. And you know what's fucked up? I've been looking at it through the reflection of
you thought it was like
your
a
useless
hologram,
degree, and I was like, man. I see it, but it wasn't registering that was a fucking neon sign.
It's right behind you.
God damn, that's cool, man.
Yeah, I know.
Was that expensive to make?
No.
Fuck, I gotta get one of those.
It's so cool. You can say whatever you want. You can do Calvin Evans Comedy.
No, you know what? I want to get
Calvin Evans Comedy, and then you can put EST under it, like as established 2011, and you can just change that date.
I'm gonna do 2023.
Yeah, just say. Just change it every 2 years.
I want to get one above my bed, and when I go in the room, I wanted to say, "You know why you am." Like, but she like,
just turn the light on.
Yeah, oh, we got a button. I want the pull, like the little pull. Like, what we doing? Come on, come on. It's fucking.
And your room is like, I've been in your house. It's like by the time you've gone up those stairs,
he's been. No, my room is downstairs.
Oh,
that's
okay.
my guest room upstairs.
Oh, okay, my bad.
That's my guest room.
But still, they got to go through the room. It's a big house.
Yeah.
By the time they get to the bedroom, it's like, you know why you're here.
Come on, let's stop. It's fucking 1 o'clock in the morning. Stop with the.
It's either this or I'm gonna go call T Murph and play some video games.
And then underneath it's a yes or no.
We doing this?
No. All right, come on.
Thank you, Calvin, for doing the podcast and for teaching us about your craft.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you talking to me about it.
And thank you all for watching or listening to another episode of Why Are You Awake?